Hello. First of all, I'm Dan Porter, Head of Sport at Sheffield Hallam University, and I'd like firstly to thank you for inviting me here today to your conference. I don't think anybody, a patient's ever spoken at a conference before, so I feel incredibly privileged. I won't be mentioning anything scientific. I won't be talking about anything in terms of medical words or anything like that. My speech, my presentation is an honest assessment of how it is, I suppose. Before we get on to this, I'd just like to give you a brief history about how I arrived at this, I suppose. And it goes back to 2005. Literally a few days after my first son had been born, I went from one hospital to another hospital in Sheffield to find out I had a tumour growing in my face. On subsequent biopsy, I found out it was cancerous and it was adenoid cystic carcinoma, which apparently is a very rare form of cancer. Not the greatest timing in the world, some might say, but actually was fantastic timing in another way, in that if you ever need a reason to live, having a literally newborn son is pretty good motivation. Anyway, 6 weeks later, 20-hour operation. As you can see, that operation didn't go without a few scars. In fact, when I spent 6 weeks waiting to find out whether I could be treated. And one of the things they said to me was, there's some good news and some bad news. And the good news is we feel that we can do something and we can remove the tumour. The bad news is you're going to lose your eye. To which my response is, you can chop my arms and my legs off if you want. I just need to get better. Anyway, 6 weeks later, 4 weeks in hospital, radiotherapy and the loss of the eye, and everything was back to normal, kind of. In between, I'd just like to go back, before that operation, one of the things that I think was critical in my care and how I beat the cancer initially was the relationship between me and the doctor. I thought about it quite a lot because I had some time, and I decided that if I was going to beat it, it was going to have to be a combination of a few things. Obviously, the medical expertise was absolutely critical, but I needed to do something for myself. I needed to be positive. I needed to create something in my head that was going to help myself beat this. A lot of it came down to diet, changed my diet, and I still change my diet to this day. A lot of antioxidants, a lot of superfoods, as you all know. I did some alternative therapies and still do. I do Reiki every month, and I find it incredibly useful in terms of stress and helping me heal and feel better. But most of all, in terms of anything, it is mental attitude. I decided very early on that this was going to help me beat cancer. I did a lot of reading on it, and I was convinced that I could help my own destiny by being positive. And a lot of that comes from my life, really, and my dad, who essentially is my role model. And one of the things he said to me very early on in my life was, it's not what happens in life that's important, it's how you deal with it. And that's something that's my mantra, and that will stick with me forever. So me and my doctor, Jeremy McMahon, my consultant, we had a very good partnership relationship from the off. And something he later said, and it's a quote that I've got on my website, Danny Porter Foundation, a charity we've started subsequently. This was a quote from Jeremy. It's probably the most powerful thing that's ever been written about me. He said, Dan looked at a mountainous problem in the face, and he did not ask us to lead him over it. He asked us to walk by his side and be his friend. And that's how I wanted it to be. It was working together. Any negativity, any talk of this won't happen was banished. It was how we're going to get better. So everything went well. Done treatment, scans were good. Life went back to normal. I got married, had another boy, got a promotion. Whoopie-doo, life was a breeze. Until 2014, and the cancer returned. A subsequent another operation, 12 hours this time, more chopping away at the inside of my face. I don't know what happened, but the only thing was I was very keen this time not to lose the sight in the other eye for obvious reasons, which they couldn't promise but did manage. And everything again looked up until March 2015 when it had returned, and this time it had spread. It spread into my lymph glands. So I had it back in the face and in the lymph glands. And at this point, I was told by the consultants in Sheffield that there was nothing more that could be done for me, and that any care from that point on would be palliative. Obviously, that's pretty devastating news when you've got 2 young children and you're, well, not quite in the youth of life, but, you know, you've still got a long way to go. So I walked out of the room, my sister was there with me, and we walked down the corridor, and I said, right, we need to find someone who's going to treat this and make me better. And that's what she did. My sister did a lot of research. She went through all the internet, talked to people around the world, and I ended up in Heidelberg in Germany for proton ion beam therapy. 6 weeks of that, and all being well, seems to have gone. I had to come back though and have my lymph glands removed and subsequently radiotherapy. This is where we come on to this. I was told it was going to be painful, but I had kind of radiotherapy before. I'd had it when I had my first bout of cancer in my face. I'd had it when I had it in Heidelberg. It had an effect. My tongue was swollen, it was blistered, but it was dealable with. This was on a different level. I just wasn't ready for it. It was incredibly painful. As you can see on the picture, that's actually after the treatment had finished, but it had been a bit worse than that, but the after effects and the continuous effects of the radiotherapy had carried on after the treatment. So I'd end up with this state in my neck. It was, I mean, essentially bloody, it was pussy, gooey, and it was just horrible. It really was horrible, and it was incredibly physically painful. Not just that though, I found that I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't move, I couldn't sleep. When I was sleeping, I did stick to the bed, literally, and I ended up with old towels underneath me and things like that to try and soak up the blood and what was coming out of it. It was sticking to my clothes, so in the daytime when I was at home, everything was sticking to me clothes. And probably in terms of my wife, one of the things that she was talking about was, and it was mentioned just here, the odour apparently was really unpleasant. I say apparently, I've lost complete sense of smell now, so it didn't really matter to me, but obviously to my wife, to my children, to everybody visiting, it was absolutely horrible. All this essentially started to lead to me feeling quite down and depressed, and took me away from where my life, you know, my raison d'etre, what I was, which was being about positive. And I didn't want to go that way. And it really started to test me mentally. The cream that I was given by the hospital just didn't work. And the dressing, when I stuck it to the wound, it either came away, or if it didn't, it just wasn't comfortable. And then it all changed. One day my wife went for a run, like she does, that's her stress relief, and she bumped into an old friend of hers, Kate, and obviously they started to talk about me and where I was and what was happening. And Kate mentioned that her husband, Mark, had a product called Medihoney that he was selling. Now, I knew Mark from years ago, as we used to play rugby together, but we'd not seen each other for some time. And within a few hours, Mark was round at my house, and applying what you can see in the centre picture, these sheets of Medihoney, whatever you want to call them, to my neck. And the results were unbelievable. I really found that the difference was remarkable. The pain relief was the first thing. Initially, for the first 3, 4, 5 seconds, it stung a little bit. But after that, it seemed to instantly soothe the wound. And suddenly the pain just started to disappear. It was almost instant. I was quite shocked. It also allowed me to move. I could start to get round, move, and the clothes weren't sticking to me. The bed wasn't, bed clothes weren't sticking to me. And obviously, one of the key things in terms of anybody getting better is getting good sleep. So my sleep was improving, and all that helped my attitude, my positivity, my mental attitude. And not only that, the smell and the odour was covered up by that, which helped in terms of going out and being able to see people. The dressing was reapplied, like it says there, every 48 hours, and actually came off very easily. It actually, after about 48 hours, started to come away naturally, and if I just got into the shower and ran a bit of water over it, it just dropped off, essentially. And I did actually start to panic a little bit when I didn't have it. If I'd run out of patches, I started to get a bit panicky because the pain had returned quite quickly. And Kerry, my wife, was dispatched quite often up to Mark and Kate's house to get some more. One time I think she was in her pyjamas. And quite quickly Mark would come down with Julie arrive with some more packs, apply them, and everything would be good again. I think most importantly, as you can see, there's 1 week there between the 3rd of October and the 10th. The difference in the healing. So it wasn't just pain relief, the easiness of getting around, moving, sleeping, the odour. Straight away, the scars started to heal, scalp over, and everything started to look a lot better. Confidence started to grow again, and I started to go out, and then my mental attitude was, I'm getting better, which helps everything. Mind, positivity. In fact, I think after 2 days of having the dressing on, the team that I coach at rugby were playing in a big derby game, and I went out. I went to the game, and my wife said, it'll last 20 minutes. I actually lasted the whole game. I went on at half-time to have a talk to the lads, and I even had a couple of pints afterwards, much to my wife's unhappiness. But good, because I could be around people, and everybody was there, my friends, and suddenly, again, life looked good. So, that's my story. It's not medical, it has no facts, it has no stats, but it's the truth, in effect, and I'm very happy to be here to present my story. I quite like to thank Mark's down here, and the Medihoney team for all the support they did give me. Whilst it wasn't planned, it was much appreciated. And also thank you to the conference organisers for letting me speak and tell my story. I hope it was useful, I hope it was relevant, but I will be around this afternoon on the stand, and I'm also happy to take questions. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.